this is gonna work.
We'll
Holy
see.
Toledo.
I'm keeping my eyes peeled. I'm still seeing it be close. So far you're okay.
All right. Un
I think you're good. I think you got it.
S-C-G-U-N-D-O. Un segundo, por favor. All right.
I thought we're speaking French thanks to all these French names.
Yeah, definitely.
Wait, they changed one of their names.
They
One
did?
of the French people changed their names. Now they're Elinia Garance. I don't know how to do accents.
I
know
don't
how to
see
do
that
accent
one.
marks.
I don't see
Wait,
the same
who's-
ones that you do.
Who's the fifth player on Infamous for you?
I've got La suerte es una excusa as
Oh.
31092007 and L'amor es un ocio something something.
Wow, I don't see either of those. It's gonna make this even more complicated.
Yeah. All right. Drow Ranger.
Yeah, Drow Ranger.
Talk to me about it.
It's going to give Shadow Shaman even more of a dual mid presence. I'm imagining he's going to be dual mid with the Medusa, although Drow Ranger is probably going to need quite a bit of protection, and so I wouldn't be surprised if they actually... I don't think Omni Knight's going to be able to do it on his own, or Clockwork. I don't know who they're going to send the offlane, but Drow Ranger's going to need help, and Medusa's going to need help, because Beastmaster and this roaming combination of ET and Bane are very difficult for these heroes to deal with, both Medusa and Drow Ranger, and so SG may be spreading themselves a bit thin, but if they're able to get through like the first 12 minutes of the game or so, untouched, then it's so difficult for Infamous to come back, because Medusa, as it is very difficult to shut down, and if she has Drow Ranger damage to take down Ancients, your window to make Medusa lose power is even gonna close faster.
But yeah, and well, they do have the Shadow Fiend taken as the last pick, chatting about it. This hero sometimes does run into issues with staying alive, and there's a defensive support sort of in the Bane, but I don't know. Do you think that he's going to be able to stand up and survive like the onslaught of damage that's coming? I guess it's not like a ton of like instant burst damage. There's not a Tinker or, you know, something like that that can just like wreck his day early. How do you feel about this Shadow Fiend?
I think they picked it because they knew that there wasn't really that much that he needs to be concerned about. It's a great way to deal with Shadow Shaman dual mid, because Shaman so he's a very slow hero, that's for one thing. His attack range isn't that great, and his spell cast range isn't that exceptional. And so if you start looking like you want to go aggressive, SF can straight up get the E raise and the W raise free. And so if you do finally complete your Shackle cast, then you're still going to be in range for a Q raise more often than not. And so SF is a great way of being able to deal with that, but also I don't really think he has that much to be concerned about, because it's going to be Bane and ET making space. Like we saw in the previous game, like that Pudge wasn't really able to do very much. He was able to, he just had to react to stuff. I think that's going to be the same case as this game. The ET and Bane are just going to have to, the Clockwork is just going to have to react. The Omni Knight is just going to have to react. The Shaman's just going to have to react as ET and Bane dictate the pace of where these lane ganks are going to happen.
Okay. Well, we'll watch for those rotations, see where the ganks are going to go, and if they're going to be successful or not. Smoke out. Moving across the map, no wards on the Omni Knight. There is one on the Shadow Shaman, as well as one on the Clockwork, who start out with some boots first.
Alright, so it's going to be an offlane Omni Knight.
Yeah.
Against Tiny, that works out fairly well. Yeah, even though Tree Grab is usually fantastic against melee heroes, Omni Knight with Degen Aura can be very irritating for a Tiny to deal with, especially because, as we all know, Tiny has 0 armor, and whatever little right clicks Omni Knight can do, especially if he gets phase boots quickly, it can make Tiny's laning phase a little bit uncomfortable.
Little interaction there. Clockwork, I believe, scouted out that the ward was dropped by the Beastmaster as their smokes broke as they ran into each other. He was standing on top of the ward and then taunting. But we'll see if there's actually a sentry ward brought out or not. In the meantime, ET is also looking to try and get down his ward. Laposa, as we mentioned, doesn't have one for himself. But it looks like, at least for now, each team's going to be content to just trade off the runes. We might see some aggression coming from the Dire team as Clockwork starts to move that direction.
They can get away with this, as long as they don't give the SF Cog Souls. So that would be a bit of a setback.
The battle begins.
No, well, Rasta's sitting like miles back, so they're just going to give it up.
Easy peasy. And Medusa. Getting ran at a little bit here. They do have a toss available. Are they? I can't do anything.
Now Tiny's 285 move speed. You can punch the Deuce though, make that life a little bit easier for Shadow Fiend, and it's actually going to be Clockwork sent mid, so that's not something I was expecting, and I don't think it's the best choice necessarily, because again, like, Cog Souls are going to be an issue, and as long as Bane and Shadow Fiend can coordinate it, then that's free souls, but Bane, as you see, is a much better and much more intimidating dual mid support than a Clockwork is, because for one thing he's ranged, and the other thing is Brain Sap just keeps you at a reasonable HP that you never really need to be concerned about dying to Mystic Snake.
Posa taking the ET for a walk along with the creeps. Is going to TP
now
back.
Bane's kind of out of position.
Yeah, this is a little bit of a rough one. They don't have any raises, obviously, since it's early point, but had Shadow Fiend been able to find that kill, gain a nice little bump up in souls would have been lovely.
Yeah, he's doing fine right now, though. 6-0. Meanwhile, Medusa only has one last hit, so it's not too bad.
Yeah, for sure. Taking away that mana as well. Level 2 now for both of them. Could go for raises if they wanted to. There's a decent chance that you could find a kill if she doesn't get her mana shield up in time. But
instead, Bane's heading down to the bot lane, which Omni took straight up repel at 1, so it's a very safe play.
Yeah.
And there's no Nightmare or anything yet, so he's just going to walk away.
Yeah.
And the position is mirrored by the Dire team, as now Clockwork heads up to the top lane, and Beastmaster, if he gets shackled, he's definitely dead, but he's had this ward that ended up not getting countered out, so I guess Dire team just didn't catch this placement.
Yeah, or they don't have the gold for it or something. We'll see. But yeah, Clockwork is waiting over here, wants to be able to secure that bounty rune from the Beastmaster, then runs away. And likewise, it was the ET able to take away the bounty rune from the Omni Knight. It's kind of cool though. I like the fact that they sent that ET down there and chased the Omni Knight the entire way, because he had to skill up Repel if he wanted to get away, because otherwise ET could have just stomped him, right?
Right.
Oh, mid lane. Clockwork making things happen is going to end up
souls.
not getting any of those souls though, and it's actually potentially just going to be a kill. They actually are going to be able to turn it instead. Medusa left for the moment. One raise, two raise. First blood drawn.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
SF has kind of reached like a straight up Huskar comparison may be a little bit too controversial, but like it oftentimes feels like ganking Huskar in that like you'll do some damage to him and you'll eat a raise or something, and then you get closer and he's so low, I can kill him, but then you just eat the last raise and it's so much stack damage that, oh okay, let's see it again. Oh no, nice transfer by the Shadow Shaman, so no setup, and unfortunately Shadow Fiend only had the mana for one raise anyway, but you can see how scared they are of it.
Yeah, this combination is quite strong, and the most important thing, like you mentioned, is that it's keeping somebody mid, because they need to be able to take off that Nightmare, which means Beastmaster is able to, get this creep wave, pull back behind his tower. He's probably going to be able to get level 3 off this, since there's 2 range creeps. This is amazing.
No, that's pretty good, actually, seeing as how he didn't even get boars. More often than not, you'll see a Beastmaster be able to get away with this if he can draw aggro with the creep, but instead he's just able to do it by himself because, like you said, too much attention is having to spend protecting this Medusa as Bane heads over, but he does not have the mana for a Nightmare.
Yeah, one of those Mystic Snakes clipping him is making the difference there, and well, it is still Clockwork just kind of running around the map, not really getting that much done. He's going to be able to get a stack here, and this is what they've liked to do, it seems like. At least in the South America region, is stacking the medium camps early and then stacking the ancients later.
I have a battery assault onto this Elder Titan and a purification on top of it. ET's gonna go down.
Right.
Yeah, the medium stack thing, I will see it if they can get both medium camps, because that's that's one of the reasons why a lot of teams like picking Dire, is because you can stack camps a lot easier, because with one rotation from a from a support, you can stack 2 camps usually, and on Radiant it's super difficult to stack multiple camps at the same time, and so that's one of the reasons why teams like picking Dire. But it kind of telegraphs how you want to play your Medusa. You stack Ancients if you want to be like, I don't need Medusa to be relevant at all until like 20 minutes. Just let her slowly farm up, and then she hits a massive spike whenever she starts taking Ancients. Instead, this kind of movement, as now top lane there is a Nightmare onto this Drow Ranger, she is stomped
Yeah, in trouble. No way to save her at all. They find that kill, and maybe the Shadow Shaman gonna die as well. This is a real problem. They are still trying to make something happen in the mid lane, though. As Clockwork comes back around, is able to find that hit onto SF, but he does get the walk away, so they aren't gonna be able to find the kill on the Shadow Shaman or on the SF. But one thing I noticed, Shadow Shaman was just like sitting mid wanting to gank the SF, and then he had to run all the way back up top, and then he still ended up losing that Drow. It's been a kind of rough couple of minutes here for the Dire team.
Yeah, no, SF is kind of hitting that point where it's no longer even like worth considering ganking him, as now this is how you rotate.
Yeah, 1 and a second. Is it going to be enough? They still got mana. It's the third. SF doing it.
Definitely worth wanding up for that. And it's the Q raise that's the hardest to hit. And so they did that so perfectly. Like, you go for the Nightmare, you buy time for the SF to get into position, and then if he raises the exact moment that the Echo Stomp comes out, then you won't even wake up the Dusa after that Echo Stomp, because there's that like 0.8 second period of time during the first Echo Stomp that no matter how much damage you deal, they won't wake up. And so finish it off with the E-Raise, which is usually the easiest one to hit. Now Tiny kind of in trouble here. You can toss out the Clockwork, or you can just eat all of it.
There's the repel onto. I'm not sure when that ended up coming through or not, but trying to run away now. Does have a toss at the second time. Needed to save it, but the shackles are still going to connect. And Tiny not quick enough to get out of there. Meanwhile, top lane diving for the Drow yet again, going to connect. Hell of a lot of damage. She does go down. The Clockwork trying to save a light. Not happening.
This is all pre-level 6 for Beastmaster. Dude doesn't even have Roar yet, and still 2 kills on go down for the Drow Ranger. And she's, like, it's so difficult to protect her. Like, they have this one Dire Ward near the Radiant Secret Shop, but it's not enough. And this Drow Ranger has gone for a very greedy no points in silence, actually going for 3 points in frost arrows, which is a bit weird because, like, even against a Beastmaster, you can't really just like plink away at a Beastmaster. He's too tanky for you to really deal significant damage with your orb effect. And so I'm surprised that he went for this with the Medusa on his team. Like, if anything, you put more points in the precision aura if you want to skip silence, but instead he's gone for 3 points in frost arrows, and he's getting punished for it. Maybe they can do something on Beastmaster now.
Yep, they do have the ET that's in the area. Gonna try and see if he can maybe separate, and no, it's not gonna happen. He will at least get a lot of damage and movement speed from this one since it hit on a couple heroes. But nothing to write home about.
It's protecting the Drow Ranger, but there's always something that you need to be worried about, and if Drow Ranger is protected, then that means Medusa isn't protected. And now she's gonna go farm up her stacks, which hasn't even completed out phase boots yet. This Medusa is really hurting for gold right now, and this is why you stack the medium camp, because there's no way in hell that she can take Ancients, but at least she can take a medium camp stack.
Right. Particularly with the Mystic Snake. It's quite good against the little golems. If you can kill them all off.
They all give mana.
Alright.
Top lane. Down goes the Shadow Shaman.
In front of all of his buddies, too.
Middle tower is under attack.
Mid lane. SF still being a bastard, level 8 right now, and just clears through that wave so quickly, and every time this pain comes up, it just has to be pretty afraid. It's like, you can't
Top
do anything.
lane. Stomp. Killed again. This Drow Ranger. This time it was a Roar setup, and so Bane wasn't necessary because Roar and Echo Stomp is all that you really need, but man, like, all these heroes on SG are falling behind right now. There's no lane that's really going well, because Tiny's the highest net worth hero, tied with SF, and Drow Ranger and Medusa are, meanwhile, 5th and 6th place right now.
Yeah. It's looking really good. Really, really good. Laposa comes in, is going to try and get some damage there onto the Tiny, but Infamous, after falling behind pretty heavily in the last game, are looking a lot better this time around as the smoke rotation is coming. Drow and Shadow Shaman wanting to find a kill onto this Tiny. We'll see if he might have an inkling that something's coming his way.
He's already hit level 6, so he's already got 20% extra status resistance with that grow, and so you can go for the Shackle, but
can't quite get
Drow
him.
Ranger doesn't have silence, and I don't even know if they would be able to kill him if they got the Shackle off.
Wow. So this sort of tri-core going on, it's not really the best right now for SG. They might be able to pressure for this tower, but it does mean, well, actually, they might just come and try and fight this. Like, Beastmaster and ET right now are really scary to fight into, and they have Roar back up again.
Yep. Ideally, you want to go for probably even the Omni Knight. Omni Knight's level 7 right now. Dry Ranger doesn't even really matter, so
Do they see
if
him?
you're able to roar the Omni.
Oh, he's walking around the other side. Axe is already out, trying to go for the roar. They connect with it. Can they blow him up in time, though? The stomp is there, onto 2. They are going to be able to get the GA off, but it doesn't matter. We do see the Drow trying to run away. It's never going to be enough. They lose the Shadow Shaman off to the side, tossed her out of the damn game. We see Infamous just fighting back big in this one.
No, it's fantastic order of priority for Infamous. Like I said, you roar up the Omni Knight, not only so you can confirm that the highest level hero and the highest net worth hero on Infamous will go down, but you won't be able to get off GA early enough, so you're going to get a lot of physical damage off, and he's not going to be able to repel anything either. And so go for him, and then once GA comes out, dedicate the Bane to sleeping the Shadow Shaman and dedicate the rest of your heroes to finishing off that Dry Ranger and SF ulti.
Top lane, they make it work. Almost able to take down that Shadow Shaman. Lots of damage coming through. Want to kill him off. He does get silenced. A couple more hits. Needs another raise. Is going to find it, so he at least gets something. And breaking the salve. Hitting the Drow. Earth Splitter through as well. Can they get this kill? Almost able to get it, and now realizing the clockwork is going to be there, it wouldn't have been enough. And now other Titan trying to run.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
He does get away.
Meanwhile, this bottom shrine, Medusa was like, well, I'm just gonna take some ancients now. Oh my god, why is the entire Radiant team here? Where are all my stacks gone? And that's what was happening while Shadow Fiend was trying to go 2v1, and it's a fine trade. They end up, I believe, taking out well, I guess they didn't take the last stack with the Black Drakes, but they take out 2 stacks with, I mean, the Shadow Fiend wasn't even there, so just the Tiny, the Beastmaster, and the ET were able to do it, as ET eventually did TP up top. Now Shadowblade completed for this Tiny. You have to be terrified if you're this Drow Ranger right now. I still don't know why you went for 4 points in Frost Arrows. That seems like a weird choice. Drow Ranger stats revolve around Precision Aura, and so, like, obviously he needed that value point in Gust. You see that if he wasn't able to Gust that Shadow Fiend after the Shackles ended, then Shadow Shaman was dead for sure. So that value point's necessary is now Shadowblade initiation. Down goes the Omni Knight.
What happens. Chase is going to continue here. They have a Hex trying to get him away. They did have Roar, but don't want to be able to go for it. The turnaround, the hook shot, they find him as well. This is going to be a ton of damage. The Purification trying to turn it. Can they make it happen? This might be what they need, but I'm not sure if it's even going to be enough. Finding that kill. The drip is also going to be there as they try and kill off Omni Knight. They do manage, somehow Infamous, to pull that one away. That was looking tragic.
That's how you flex a 5k net worth advantage at 12 minutes in. And thankfully Bane was also in the vicinity. It was a pretty deep dive, and Shaman basically was giving up his life and somehow ends up being like one of the few to survive it. He went for the Shackles because he was like, if they get close to this Medusa, then she's definitely going to die to the Roar. So instead he just straight up Shackles, and then the rest of Radiant's like, alright, whatever, let's just kill the Shaman. But great hook shot by the Clockwork as all 3 heroes were congregated around the Shaman and follow up Cogs. But thankfully, they do kill off the Shadow Fiend. It's better than nothing, but it's still a lot of stuff that you have to come back from.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing, is like, even if you manage to take that guy down, your Medusa is still dying at the end of the fight, right? Like, it's feeling like she needs to be the centerpiece of this draft and really get crazy farm. But every time they make this move, this is a nice little ward that scuts out the movement and the smoke. Maybe they could set this up. But we do also see the Drow Ranger and the Shadow Shaman by virtue of the other ward that was placed. It's about to expire. They might be walking into a trap, though. If that ward expires before they see the rest of these heroes, because the entire team is here. Roar onto Omni, not a bad start, but they get the Hex trying to turn it, gets the Purification, gets everything off. And now the hook shot through onto 1, connects as well. Can they kill them off? Still ET trying to walk away, almost dead. They do find 2 kills so far. Dual Scepter lift up. Raise 1. Raise 2. Living on 14, but they get it. ET, Astral Spirit, connects there. Now the Silence doesn't manage to fully find the Medusa, but with that stomp, that should be enough for a double kill on ET. Another toss back in. They get the Drow. Infamous, making big plays.
Initially they went on the Omni Knight, and if that third raise connected, then Omni Knight was for sure dead, but he got that last repel off, and Omni Knight being able to survive meant that there was a heavy commitment by the rest of Infamous up that high ground, and so Medusa was able to just toy with them. Unfortunately, she has opted not to level Stone Gaze, and that's the kind of situation that Stone Gaze would have been invaluable if you can just split the entire team in half. Tiny didn't even show up until the second half, and so if they were able to kill off the Shadow Fiend of Infamous before Tiny showed up, then life would have been good, but no Stone Gaze, Drow Ranger was off farming, and they get what they can, but I think Infamous are still pretty happy with that fight.
Yeah. And you talk about that lack of Stone Gaze. It's really, I think, it's sort of become a little bit more common to not get it until level 11 because, you know, the other skills are just so valuable for your farming efficiency. But to get another point in Mana Shield before you even get it, I don't know. It seems a little questionable. Dubious.
Like the way that SG are skilling themselves up, it feels like they are playing from ahead. Like, you don't really put this many points in Frost Arrows on Drow Ranger unless if you're dominating the lane. You don't feel confident putting this few points in Mana Shield and no points in Stone Gaze until you like have that Mask of Madness secured as now a kill from the Shadow Blade initiation, and now
going.
Kill.
Ooh, maybe a turnaround though. They were able to at least get the Drow out of there. No! Oh god, they almost killed her off with the toss forward. Axis isn't gonna be enough. Alive on barely nothing, but the movement speed advantage with the drums is there. Purification, another toss, and the boar actually gets the kill. Oh, when it rains, it pours. And it is showering right now. Laposa trying to run away, but there's nowhere left to go. He is getting beaten all the heck to death. And with one final toss, see you later.
And he's gone. Medusa shows up, but all they're gonna find is a Bane.
This is a rough one.
This is the kind of Tiny that I love to see, because it's like he was recognizing all of his power spikes. Even before he finished off that Shadow Blade, he was still going for rotations with Toss. That's all the really initiation you need as long as you have one other hero, and in this case it's been Beastmaster, and so that pairing's been fantastic. Now that Tiny has a Shadow Blade, he can just straight up go for Avalanche and Toss and have Bane follow up with some Fiend's Grip if necessary, if it's up, or Nightmare Initiation to make sure that no one else can react to these ganks, and so right now, Tiny's doing great. Hopefully the SF continues the farm pace though, because the thing is that both of them have gone for like mid-game builds. Blink Dagger Yules is great on Tiny, but it's doing the exact same thing that, Blink Dagger Yules is great on Shadow Fiend, but it's doing the exact same thing that Tiny is, which is like real quick burst initiation, but no real sustained physical damage. And so both these heroes need to make sure that they can also deal with Dusa if this game goes to like 40 minutes or something.
Right. Oh. Speaking of Dusa, we do have a smoke in the area here. Now, do they decide to go for this one? There is an ET here up on the high ground. And depending upon the direction that they smoke, or they might just not smoke. Drow just wants to farm.
I don't really think they're strong enough to smoke. At least Medusa does have Stone Gaze now, but like if you go face first, like they don't really have very much vision on the map. They have a ward protecting their bottom rune, and they have one aggressive ward in the Radiant jungle. And neither of those are really going to help you out right now, unless if you're able to find someone farming. And they're just 5-man protecting their Drow Ranger because they have no idea where Tiny is. And if you don't know where Tiny is, then no one's safe.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Well, top lane, Beastmaster with this very team-oriented build. Drums, Medallion, and next going for that Helm of the Dominator. He's putting himself in a very strong position to just sort of snowball through this one. Clockwork might go down here. Avalanche, Purification. Good team play there to make sure he doesn't go down.
Yeah, Sentry Ward. Tiny knew he was walking into detection, otherwise there's no way that the Observer Ward would be dying. But this Tiny is like refusing to show himself on the map, and it's causing so much stress for SG Esports. Like, Drow Ranger has to be so careful where she farms. Medusa always like finger ready on the Stone Gaze button, and they just have to group up as 5 all the time, and that's not what you want to do when you have a late game core like this. You want her to feel confident, farm, strong, independent Medusa who doesn't need any team.
Absolutely, but it's not really been the case so far this game. Plus side is at level 14, she has Stone Gaze now, which is good.
They saw this Tiny go invis, and then they're just gonna leave.
No way to punish. It's too tough. They're too freaking strong.
Dire's bottom tower is under
Like,
attack.
trying to fight into these guys is
11k
just
net
awful.
worth advantage. Yeah.
Dire's bottom tower has fallen.
Any other big items on the way soon? A Manta Tiny? I don't remember the last time that I've seen that.
Wow.
All right.
I mean, I think he's like the only reason you would go for that is for what, Drow Ranger Silence, because
Yeah.
it's not really that much worth purging. That is a strange pickup.
Yeah. I mean, the illusions, I guess, are still pretty strong. You don't get the tree, but you still have to have so much base damage that you do a lot.
Yeah, I suppose.
Definitely a different one. And like,
I mean,
they can just
at
afford
least-
to play so up front too. Like the fact that like ET can just hit this with very few heroes by him, it just shows like how terrified all these guys are. And they're
Yeah, I
under
mean, you
complete
can-
vision.
You can get away with this for right now, and that Hawk is working out as no Tiny initiates straight on the Medusa toss back.
Good hook shot though, going through onto 2. Can they find any more? They stone him up as the ulti was just coming out, and that's in the duration of the BKB. But they're still trying to find this kill, and it's not going to happen. Guardian Angel comes out a bit too late. And the only one to go down for the Radiant is the Bane. It might end up losing the Tiny there if he's not careful. They have all these wards
Whoa,
hitting
just
them,
walking
and
straight into the wards.
well, gets the Shadow Blade off.
Dire's
That's a
bottom
liver.
tower is under attack.
Alright, so you're going to take this to tier 2, and then chances are that Radiant's going to go for Roche. You were able to get that wraparound initiation, but you can't really guarantee that that kind of stuff is going to work, and so it's a great pick on the Medusa. They're going to back off, and they're not even going to finish off that tier 2. I mean, Roche is like the biggest steal now, because like you're reaching that point that Drow Ranger's starting to deal a lot of damage. She's gone for the Mask of Madness of her own, and she's got a Dragon Lance flying out, or no, the full Hurricane Pike flying out, and so it's becoming less and less reliable to pick off these carries like Medusa and Drow Ranger if you're tiny.
Well, 22 minutes in. It's 25 to 10. 14,000 net worth. Build that we've been seeing become more and more popular for the Shadow Fiends. You know, the Blink, BKB, Yules, eventually going to be going back for the E-Blade.
Yeah, usually there's a Veil tossed in the mix, and I find that to be like a better mid-nuker build, obviously, but
Yeah.
he went for the Yules this game because there's an Omni Knight in the game, so if you're able to purge off Guardian Angel, that's a huge value, and then obviously being able to purge off like the self-silence from Drow Ranger and stuff like that, and even though this Roche is confirmed, it's going down way too quick, and SG aren't even going to bother contesting it, they're just going to push.
I mean, this is definitely a team that knows that they're way stronger than enemy team, and they'll be able to get a tier 2 tower trade at least. We do have awards that are off cooldown as well for Bardinho, so if he wanted to, he could conceivably try and like hide down here, and then when they push mid, like do a little ninja action, but they realize that they're going to need it for any defense of the base as well, so they back out.
And now they give it to Tiny, which again is a little bit surprising because it's like he's probably one of the least likely heroes to go down. Like if he had a Blink Dagger, I can understand now there's a Boar straight onto the Omni Knight.
Oh, that's
So
huge.
much physical damage.
That was just him trying to TP out, and it just doesn't end up happening. And so they managed to find one kill, and now Clockwork trying to TP away himself.
Nice calls.
Will be able to. If they had a Blink Dagger there up from Shadow Fiends, then
Radiant are scanning.
would have been able to get it, but obviously on cooldown because of the cogs.
Alright, so tier 2 is going to go down. Then they can either consider going for the mid tier 2, or they can start poking at high ground. They can't go for full on siege quite yet, and it looks like they're just going to go for tier 2s.
This is definitely Infamous's game to lose. Like, if they should just be able to play this one out if
Tower is under attack.
everything continues to go this way.
Dire's
It'll
bottom
hinge on
tower
high
is
ground.
under
If they
attack.
botch a high ground push, then all of a sudden, like, a game to lose becomes very much a
Radiant's top
probable
tower
game for
is
SG to
under
win,
attack.
because both, like, Drow Ranger burns through towers. And
Right.
usually one of the biggest downsides of Medusa is, like, okay, you'll win a team fight, but she's not that great as now Hookshot connects onto the Beastmaster, and he's all alone over here.
Yeah, this isn't bad at all. All right, they make it work. They won't have hookshot
Dire's
again for
middle
60
tower
seconds,
is under
but
attack.
that should be enough to stop the push from Infamous.
No, that's like one of the best targets you could have poke-shot also. Tiny would be able to just man mode against the Clockwork, SF would be able to BKB or just cog out, or just Yules the Clockwork, so getting that pick is going to discourage this high ground push for that much longer, and you're burning time off the Aegis. Anytime that Infamous are feeling reluctant to push high ground, it's time that they're not going to have a second life on this Tiny.
And they're just, and the problem too though is they're still just so poor. Like Medusa maybe like a little bit less than halfway to the Scotty, but even if she had a full Scotty right now, I don't think she'd be able to deal with the amount of damage that this team outputs, because you've got the ET aura for all the magical damage that's coming through, and like that's some of the biggest issues that she has in this game. It's just how quickly she can get burned through.
Yeah, thankfully Drow Ranger is approaching, she's still a ways away from level 18,
right,
but a lot of her damage is coming from this precision aura. Right now it's giving 55 damage. Oh, never mind. I guess it must have been Medusa's Pike on the courier, because I saw a Pike recipe, but Drow Ranger does not have one yet. Instead, she's gone for just the Dragonlance into the Yasha, and it's a Agi heavy build. Right. It's not like straight up into the Manta yet, because she did get a Mask of Madness on the way, but every little bit that she gets is going to boost up Medusa's damage. So even though she isn't really that farmed, at least she is having that backup plan of Drow Ranger damage.
The other thing that just came up, though, was the level 20 talent for SF. So he gets 150 damage added on for Shadow Raises. These are going to hurt. This is a lot of damage.
And there's so many ways to keep targets still to land all three raises. Yeah. You've got Stomp, you've got Roar, you've got Fiend's Grip, you've got Avalanche Toss as now.
Oh, God, that's a lot. Hook shot trying to turn it, doesn't matter. He basically just gets one hit through there and trying to run away now to no avail. Clockwork definitely dead.
Quite literally between a rock and a hard place with Tiny chasing him down. But
yeah.
He goes down.
No, Medusa.
And now...
Oh, God, it's all falling
apart.
Grip. No, there's the Nightmare. They're all walking over here. There's nothing to help this guy out. Shadow Fiend even jumping forward, trying to zone that Omni Knight out.
You guys got this. I don't need a help.
This game is over. 17,000 net worth lead. And
Medusa does have buyback, but you really don't want to have to spend that. They're going to give up a Rax for sure, but if they start going for a second Rax, then Medusa might have to very strongly consider that buyback.
They're buying back.
Or just straight up do it, even before Drow Ranger's alive. Okay.
I mean, Glyph is there, but again, it's like, how are you going to try and take this fight now that you also had to buy back? You're slowing down the item progression even further, and everybody from Infamous is just soaring ahead. It's going to be a Shiva's Guard, actually, for the SF. And he's going to have this done. I think he goes to the secret shop next. All right.
It's a very weird item build from SF.
Smoke out. Shadow Shaman ends up breaking it. Has to go for a pause.
Tiny's the last hero that they want. He still has time on this Aegis for... Wait. That Aegis should be gone. This is the split second that the Aegis exists, and it should be gone, I think. Well, whatever the case, Tiny is still a difficult kill. They do have detection on the Shadow Shaman, but it's so difficult to be able to hold him down. And Manta Style, that's another reason why he picked it up, is he's going to be able to purge off the dust. So we'll see. I mean, the smoke idea was good, but the timing isn't working out, and there goes the Aegis.
3 minutes before Roche is possible to respond. And we need to see some serious items coming out in between now and then. Drow is going to be going for a Sanjin Yasha next, so just more mobility. But feels like it's if the game continues in this fashion in the next couple minutes, I feel like the next push is going to be even stronger.
Yeah, especially since Beastmaster is accelerating even more. He's had this Helm of the Dominator for quite a while. Blink Dagger is now picked up for longer range initiation, which may just spend it straight up onto this Shadow Shaman. Oh, nice. That's smart. Cuts down all the trees.
And doesn't even have to use the Roar then.
Yeah. I mean, even, like, he could have probably just gone straight onto the Shaman and used a Hawk for vision, but sure, that works also. No Roar necessary is the most important thing.
Yeah. Well, there's some problems. Medusa still about halfway before the Scotty is done. And is very far from the position they want to be in. Bane scouting this stuff out here.
Kind of canceled his BOTs. Either that or the creep died, but doesn't seem like Radiant are interested in doing anything yet. I mean, they could wait for the next Roche. Or they could kill Dusa, perhaps.
Grip coming through. They have all these defensive spells. The roar comes out, though. No Guardian Angel in this one, at least for the moment. They are still chasing here, and well, it's going to be a Stone Gaze that's keeping them stunned for the moment. Can they do anything? They don't get Cogs off either. Tiny controlled. Does he get... He's turning out of there, though. There's going to be the cancellation of the Requiem of Souls as the Omni Knight buyback came.
Man, that was like the worst possible time for Clockwork to take off that Nightmare, because like Bane was going to go for the Fiend's Grip on Dusa regardless, but then Clockwork was like, I'll help you out, I'll take this Nightmare off, and then both of them ended up getting stuck because he was Nightmared, she was Fiend's Gripped, and Earth Splitter was coming in with an Echo Stomp to follow it up. Thankfully, Clockwork ended up buying a little bit more time since he was able to hookshot defensively, but with this aggressive smoke play, if Tiny's able to find initiation, then this Dusa is so screwed. At least they still have Guardian Angel, though. Omni Knight did have to spend a buyback.
Beastmaster just does so much damage, too. He's almost at that level 20. Could go for the Wild Axes or the health, depending upon what he's feeling. Medusa all alone down bottom. But seems like it's going to be tough for anybody to get there quickly enough to really punish this movement.
The Tiny smells blood. He's going for it.
I'm sure she just TP's out after this, right? There's no way you try and stay here. Yeah. Good decision. And that's what they need to do, over and over and over again.
Yeah, pretty much. Buy time for the next Roche, and then when it comes time to fight in the pit, they actually have like a reasonable shot. You've got solid team fight with Stone Gaze, Guardian Angel, Rasta's Mass Serpent wards, and then obviously Hookshot Initiation. So they can very easily take a fight in the pit, regardless of this net worth disparity, which is now eclipsing 24,000 gold. So it's quite difficult, and now Bane is spotted out. Frost arrows are not being used because it's silenced, but Shaman's gonna clean it up.
It'll still be a kill, and they're gonna give that one to the Medusa, but Tiny is still here. Does he really go on this? This doesn't seem like the right play. Yeah, he backs out. They might have just fed away a couple kills there if he went in, but still, 700 gold going their direction for that kill between the whole team.
Shout out to the comeback factor.
Yeah.
And that's why Radiant are being so like tentative about pushing this high ground, because like I said, if they botch it, then things go sour very, very quickly.
Roar onto one. There's the Earth Splitter through as well. Going to connect onto Omni Knight took so much damage from that one, and now SF walks forward. He's just gonna pop his great TV. Requiem and kills absolutely everybody. Triple kill for him off that one ability, and now chasing forward for more. He's dancing the whole way through his smelling blood and wants to end this game right here, right now. They're slowed. Can they find this kill though? 1, 2, not enough. But still, asserting dominance underneath the tier 4s.
That's that moment where like there's that split second in the Omni Knight and the Rasta's head where they're like, it was at that moment I knew I fucked up. And then boom, Shadow Requiem of Souls straight on the 3 heroes. Only intended for 1, but ends up picking up a triple kill now. 2 cores are alive, which is usually a good thing, but these cores are so underfarmed that they can't even do anything.
And they're just so squishy. I mean, Medusa isn't because she just hit that 20 talent, so that's something at least. But it's not great, and now Raze is coming through. The right clicks are there, as well as the Fiend's Grip, and Medusa dead yet again. 32,000 net worth lead. Game has fallen off the tracks. They've fallen off to everything as we find themselves another kill, possibly immediately taken off. More right clicks, double kill for SF. Double kill for the Tiny, and GG is called.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Well, it was two very dominant games, to be honest.
Yeah.
Radiant victory.
And I would pick Infamous as my favorites in the grand finals based off of solely this performance. I mean, like even before, like you had said, SGA Esports and Infamous and Sacred are the top 3 teams in SA, and so they all kind of ping pong back and forth between each other about who's really the best of the best, but Infamous in this series looked miles ahead of SG Esports.
Yeah, and I think that last game was fairly close back and forth, so maybe it had more to do with the draft. We don't really know, but we'll have to watch and wait and see. Tsunami, any final thoughts on this game? Things you're looking forward to seeing in the next one, or key heroes for you?
Normally I do have key heroes, but the way that these South American drafts are going, I think you just have to hope that these teams are playing their comfort heroes. And I think both games, Infamous had comfort heroes for sure. That SF was looking really comfortable in the laning phase. Tiny was looking really comfortable in the laning phase. And last game, similarly, they just seemed like they knew what they were doing, especially with that Pudge also in game one. So I'm liking these drafts, even if they're uncommon heroes. That's what I like to see.
All right. Well, we're going to be back in just a few. One more time, everybody, pay attention for this one. I'm going to bring down the stream again. We're going to try and redo what we did earlier. There's been a couple of finicky issues with Twitch today. I don't know if you guys have seen posts about it on Twitter at all. I don't know exactly what's going on, but we're having issues with getting the stream delay correct while doing other stuff, basically. So the stream's going to go down. We're not going to leave. Just chill out. You know, go make a sandwich, go get yourself something to drink, have yourself a wonderful time, and we'll be back. Again, myself at Lyrical Dota, as well as Tsunami at Tsunami643. You can follow us on Twitter if you feel so inclined. At Beyond the Summit, the people that organize the tournament. And then, of course, the tournament organizers themselves, GESC Championships, is, I think, the Twitter handle for them as well. Be sure to keep following this one, because it's going to be a good one. See you guys in a few for game number 3.